Gotta say, I'm not too surprised that Paris Trout is a hard film to watch these days. Not only because of the content of an extreme racist guy that's horrible to women, but because it's only available on Amazon. It's the only place you can stream it. I don't even think it's available on home video. If I'm not mistaken, this Laserdisc might be the only official release of Paris Trout. So if you're a Dennis Hopper fan, if you like him playing really bad guys and doing horrible things to Barbara Hershey, which avert your eyes, this movie's for you.
Movies. These days, some of the best movies are of the made-for-cable variety. This month, watch for Showtime's dark drama called Paris Trout. It's the story of a small Georgia town in 1949 where a whacked-out bigot named Paris Trout controls the general store and the lives of those around him. Dennis Hopper is Paris Trout, and he'll scare you to death.
You ask the people about that. What happens, they don't pay Paris Trout.
I think of it as about a period of time. And I don't think Paris Trout is out of step with his time.
Help! I ain't scared.
Mama! I'm coming, baby!
You scared now?
The South, at least in this story, is sort of surrounded by quite a bit of hypocrisy on a legal level, on a racial level.
The murder statutes of this state don't differentiate between races.
Those ain't the real rules, and you know it.
Death do us part. That's the agreement.
It's much more about abuse and this incredibly interesting triangle between these three characters.
At the same time I'm defending your husband, I find myself with personal feelings that aren't entirely honorable.
It's about despair and loneliness and all this dark stuff.
I paid you to look after me. All you looked after so far is my wife. And there's something very pathetically driven in this man that causes these kind of things to happen.
Problems slow down the movie-making business in New York. Many companies are finding they can shoot their films elsewhere. The state of Georgia is attracting some of those companies. One film shot there recently was Paris Trout, which will air this weekend on Showtime. We went on location to talk with Dennis Hopper, who's starring in the film. Jack Borman has more.
If a man stole from me tomorrow, stole anything, I'd do the same thing again.
Dennis Hopper returns to acting in the role of Paris Trout, a leading citizen whose life falls apart following the murder of a young black girl. Set in rural Georgia in the 1950s, the movie is based on an award-winning true story by author Pete Dexter.
It's about a man who's very ill. He's a paranoid schizophrenic. He sells a car to a young black man, and then the young black man gets the car into an accident, and he doesn't make any payments on it, and he goes to collect the payments.
Barbara Hershey plays abused wife Hannah, who struggles to reconcile the horror of Trout's deeds. Ed Harris completes the triangle as Trout's attorney and the pivotal force in the story's conclusion.
I find empathy with Paris Trout.
Stop it now.
I think the time dictates the way he is, or I don't think he feels anymore about doing this, and he has to shoot a good hunting dog that's gone bad. That boy owed me money. You ought to have explained that better. You ought to have explained the whole damn thing better.
The Oscar-nominated actor has long been identified with dark, amoral characters such as Paris Trout. Hopper's past problems with drugs and alcohol may suggest his own dark side, but he says playing such characters is mostly a matter of talent.
I can play these characters. I find them all very different. I feel I'm very fortunate to be able to have the talent to be able to play them.
One of the happier moments of Hopper's stay in Georgia came when he learned of the birth of his first son, Henry Lee. Hopper got the news at a payphone during the staging of a Confederate Day parade.
I said to Catherine, Henry Lee was the name, the father of Robert E. Lee. And I said, I'm here in Crawfordsville, Georgia, and this is where Alexander Hamilton Stevens, who was the vice president of the Confederacy, was born. And I said, we're doing this Confederate Day parade, and Henry Lee was just born 10 minutes ago.
Hopper says that someday he'd like to play a normal character whose problems are external. But for now, playing dad to young Henry Lee may just be his most important supporting role. Jack Poorman, CNN Entertainment News, Atlanta.
Your family bought a car off me, mister.
Trout is a new cable TV movie coming up this weekend. It is the ugly story of racism and cold-blooded murder in a small southern town. Dennis Hopper plays a man who kills a young black girl and has no regrets. No! Dennis Hopper plays the evil Paris Trout, a wealthy storekeeper who murders a young black girl in a fit of rage over an unpaid debt. The story is set in the South in 1949 when racism and segregation were the status quo. And Hopper says Trout is a twisted product of that era.
Paris Trout is a very sick man with no redeeming qualities. However, my playing him, I find I'm very empathetic to him. If people see this piece as just a bigot, you know, and because he kills some blacks in the picture, they're going to be missing the point of it, I think. It's more the study of a time and of a man who's very ill.
Trout is not only a cold-blooded murderer, he's also an abusive husband to his wife, played by Barbara Hershey.
You got an obligation. You best keep that in mind.
Despite his despicable treatment, she stays with him, which the actress found intriguing.
She's a part of it. There's something in her that responds to it, and she can't leave it, and hates herself for it.
Ed Harris plays the attorney who defends Trout despite his own moral qualms, but who in the end becomes the hero of the story.
I don't know that he's good so much. He changes his mind about some things during the course of the film. It's not so much about good and evil as it is about darkness and abuse.
Paris Trout starts airing this Saturday night on Showtime.